Welcome to another session of Endless Legend, where I'm playing the Morgawr, the naval and sea monster-orientated faction. And currently we're doing reasonably well heading into the end game. We've got a ton of dust, meaning that we should be able to go for this, the dust victory, or the economic victory as it's called. And currently I'm trying to finish up my faction quest. Now, since I had to redo this episode a bunch of times, spoilers, I already know where this region is. It's down here, but it's incidentally where I would have been able to scout first, so not too big a deal there. I also think it's just correct to send this fleet down here. We already know this region, and the nearest other region we don't know about is maybe over here, so this is the closest region. So it's quite fortunate that's over there. But anyway, I just feel like it's important for you at home following the games, so that you realize that sometimes I have to re-record episodes or whatever. I'm gonna send this Army After Applause, by the way, so you don't think I'm just magically good at this game. Sometimes I do have to, or I do record an episode and it gets lost or something, and that's why I know more about the game than I should have this time. Speaking of which, I'm quite fortunate in this game, specifically because of the geography of the map. So look here. This whole area is insulated by water, or surrounded by water, meaning that we're very well protected from nearby nations. Not only is there a natural buffer, which they have to cross by sea, meaning they couldn't attack us that early in the game before they got the shipyards technology, but also it means that we don't have shared borders of factions, and that's one of the easiest way for the AI to figure out that it wants to kill you. So this is really the reason we're doing so well in this game. I'll probably make a video about this later on, but basically, you do need a fortunate start of this faction because of how weak you are in the early game. So speaking of which, there is a contingent of vine snakes here pestering us in that region. We might want to catsport them just to get rid of them. So I slowly figured out that this skill is actually kind of bad. It gives you 30% minus on city upkeep. But let's check out one of our city upkeeps to see how much that gives us. So here, for instance, the city where we have in the sign, city upkeep is only 50 dust, which is reducing 50 dust to basically zero with that perk. Doesn't do nothing, but it's also pretty bad, to be honest. At least at that stage in the game. So that perk is way less good than it looks. This perk is great though, because it improves our trade routes. So just so we know for future reference. I'm gonna pick science on this hero, I guess. Actually, I need to check that my science capital is the best science hero. So this hero has... Ozek has 1 science, 1 dust, so maybe... I actually have to swap Ozek with Andom, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to put science on Andom, and we're going to put Andom over here, and then we're going to pop Ozek over here. And I need to go back to Saigo or whatever, and just give, probably just an industry perk actually. Or I could go for this. This is probably better than this at this stage because science and dust are slightly more important to us. And just extra points in industry itself doesn't matter. I think I might get a couple of boats though, just to be able to control the sea region. And we can even buy out some boats. That's really the advantage of a dust economy, is that it's extremely flexible. We can just buy out stuff at any random location we want to, actually. So we think, okay, is this upgrade going to be good for us? And we just buy it out. We don't have to build up industry in any system to make sure we can buy the relevant things. System, I mean city, of course. I just play too much Ender Space too, so the word is sort of ingrained in my mind. So, the main advantage of Dust is how flexible it is. Dust can do so many different things for you, like buy stockpiles, heroes, units, even though these units are pretty garbage, luxuries, etc. The main problem is that Dust is relatively inefficient. So early in the game, it's very hard to get a Dust economy going with most factions, precisely because... I should have probably attacked the ship, by the way. We're doing that in the last couple of takes. It's really hard to get a dust economy going because it's so inefficient. And that's fair because of how flexible dust is. If dust was too easy to use in the early game, it would probably be overpowered, right? But it's not, and it's not. So we can use this two-handed sword on this hero, and I think we will. That looks pretty dope. I mean, most of these designs look pretty like impractical, but like it does look pretty cool. I'm gonna equip dust tier weapons, I guess, because I feel like I'm a little bit choked on these. I should probably. This hero doesn't have to be battling. Actually, turns out we don't have enough resources to equip that sword, so we just go for the dust tier weapons. Now, what was I was thinking about something. Alright, that hero is not supposed to be battling. I was just thinking it would be nice if I had a decent ground army that didn't commit suicide. So what I'm talking about is this. There's a basic set of upgrades that we can give our units, or talismans, which slowly kill them. As we discovered while exploring the main quest, they slowly kill them over time by losing 5% of life per turn. This means per turn on the world map, not per turn in combat. And which is all fair because these upgrades are pretty substantial, and otherwise these units will probably be overpowered. But basically the Morgawr have the ability to make really powerful troops that slowly die, basically. And I want to make sure I have some ground units that don't suffer that fate. Just to have some ground units which are always, ready, so that we never... we don't have to build units constantly because they keep dying, basically. That's what I just want to avoid. If there's a prolonged conflict or something, I'm definitely going to do that, like build lots of units. Especially lots of units with the upgrades I was talking about. I guess I'll get this shield because it improves attack, but it means we also have to use more Palladian for this unit, so... Now, which sections do I want warriors on? I guess here, this area is prone to aggression. Yeah, maybe here. So we have a fleet here, which we're going to use to control this area. And we have a fleet down here, so this is our closest border. That's undefended by fleets, crucially. So really, our defense strategy in this game, this is really important to have in this game, unlike in Endless Space 2. Let's see if I can get this Gentle Starfish. Okay, no, I can't get up to here, for instance. And I can't actually progress here without giving up on these bonuses. I like all of these bonuses. The bonus science is especially relevant. And building cost reduction, bind reduction, trade routes, and movement speed on fleets especially is really important. Now, building fleets faster is neat. But this attack bonus and life bonus would be great. But we don't have the extra influence required to get it, so I'm not gonna waste points. I'm not gonna weaken my industry to get those. I want to build up for this differential engine. Wait, let me say that again. I want to build up for this differential engine, which will improve our science in all of our cities. And then we can get this dust-driven distillery, which should help us basically pick up this economic victory reasonably quickly. And next, I think we get the Serum of Itaru, because it basically means that we're never losing fights again. Like, twice the damage, twice the health is insane. It's not... I don't know, would it be better than twice the attack and twice the defense? I'm not sure. But either way, it's an amazing upgrade. Yeah. Alright. But basically our defensive strategy in this game has been basically... Fortunately the Vine Snakes died, and a lot of their units died, so that's good. We got rid of the annoying minor faction, but without that costing us much. Because our units, our hero is still alive, so basically. And I have to use action points to heal. I guess that's balanced. By the way, this hero is a Broken Lord unit, so it doesn't actually heal on its own. It has to be healed with dust. We're not going to stop on one of these clouds because it costs us extra... Well, actually, costing us extra dust is not the end of the world. I just want to find the fortresses in this region and then quickly capture them by declaring the black spot on green. So you might have noticed the previous episodes. I think I might have declared war on red, I can't remember. But basically, I could have just black spotted red and then taken all their fortresses and cities anyways. Black spot is like the whole world declares war on that faction without having to declare war. So as you can imagine, it's immensely powerful because declaring war leaves you vulnerable, but black spot doesn't leave you vulnerable, which is what's so excellent about it. Yeah. So, hope we can all appreciate how cool and powerful the Morgawr can be if we can survive that early game period. And the early game period, of course, is really difficult in Endless. Like, if you... every other game, I just get crushed off the board on turn 50, 60, 70, because I'm not yet used to defending myself properly. And sometimes it is very difficult to do that properly. Because if you invest too much in defenses, you necessarily fall behind on... important economic buildings. But there aren't really appropriate diplomatic tools to keep yourself alive. Except for the Draken. The Draken are the big exception to this. They can force peace. But every other faction, you sort of have to, like... like, hope they don't attack you or prepare your defenses. Okay, we've captured this. So we've recaptured the Sea Haddo, which is great. And we're just going to bounce down here. We're looking for fortresses because we have to capture this for our quest. Which will hopefully give us a pretty cool reward. We're again, spoilers, I know what it is, but like, you know. Spoilers. Okay, here's a fortress. We can just bounce over here next turn. Capture it by declaring the black spot on green. Okay, there, that's worrying. There's like a red fleet heading towards this location. But I think we can just buy out some artillery ships and that should be fine. Maybe the artillery ships will actually not be able to defeat that on their own. So we should be a bit careful here. Also, it might be that we want to form up our fleets and then attack that fleet. Not sure there. I guess we can just send this army back. Upgrade it and just garrison it here. Or something. And we're getting a dust-driven distillery in 12 turns, which is okay. It's not the best. This is not the worst. Oh, I didn't notice you can actually... What does reactivating it do? It's active for 6 turns. Does that reset it? No, it... Wait, this is so weird. It adds the turns? So you have 6 turns left and then it adds. Okay, that's quite strange. I wonder if... Yeah. Actually, I saw this happen on a different channel, and I think the idea there is... This is really weird to me, because that sort of means you can just stack them while you have on lower cities, and then you're on more cities. You will have paid less in total if you had the dust or the resource in advance, which seems like really strange to me. It seems counterintuitive that it should be that like easy. Oh well, that's probably something important to know for future micromanagement. That's very surprising though. I didn't expect. I think I saw it on a different channel, and then I didn't quite believe it myself. Like, okay, yeah, Broken Lords here. You have to heal them with dust, but the Broken Lords are really good at generating dust. So fair enough, I guess. Doesn't mean they're always the best combat heroes. I mean, it's not like they're bad, but it's just that like you don't want to pay for them necessarily. At least, even when I play Broken Lords, I prefer to have a different hero as a combat hero. But I guess that can wait for a different playthrough. Okay, now we need to make sure that our fleets in this area convene. Hopefully the fact that the animation is still playing doesn't mean that, like... it does, eh? It means that it didn't actually reach this location in time, even though it clicked. So that means that the animation takes priority instead of the orders. So I ordered it to arrive before they made their decision. But because the animation hadn't played out, they still had time. Okay, that's... yeah. It's again one of those things that's weird and annoying about how the combat works here. we can just wait and then recapture the fortress, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Because losing the fortress on this turn is not the end of the world. But what would be the end of the world would be losing our fleets because we weren't connected together. You know, divide and be conquered, as it were. Alright, we're just going to gang up on this fortress now. And speaking of which, we can go here. And we don't have to declare war on green, because I don't think we need to declare war to beat them, but we can black spot them. So again, a very powerful diplomatic option. It's like war, but better in a way. it is actually basically war, because you make everyone declare war on them until they nullify the black spot. The only thing is that black spot is easier to get rid of than the war declaration, but otherwise it's a lot better. Okay, the important thing here is that our ships again have shielding, meaning that we can tank their hits indefinitely as long as they don't hit us with more than one attack each turn. So the plan is to sort of overburden them. Like here, we hit them once, their attack does nothing. We hit them once, their attack does nothing. And because we have high initiative, we can choose our attacks in such a way that we always make sure that they get hit, or they get exactly one hit in on each of our ships. Although here I miscounted. But like that's the basic strategy with these shielded armies. The other strategy you can use with the shield is to have, well, never mind, it worked out perfectly. The other option you can use with these shielded armies, the shield being of course this force field module, cost Hyperium. You can find it here. This is basically the best module in the game for fleets. What it does is means you absorb the first attack made against you each round. Again, we've seen this in the previous episode. But basically what it means is you just negate so many of their attacks as long as you can make sure that they can't attack you. You can do that by having extra initiative, so then your fleets are basically unkillable. And if you attack them with melee attack, it forces them to... You choose basically how the attacks happen because of the initiative system. And that means you can control the attacks in such a way that you never take damage, like here, as long as they don't have enough fleets. The other way to use the force fields is to have a lot of ranged ships and pick away at them, and then when they're getting close range, they won't have enough ships to basically be able to... they won't have enough ships to hit you with enough attacks, basically. Okay, we're going to send our invincible ghost fleet out here. Well, no, it's the ghost fleet faction, but a couple of spies are like wreaking havoc on my cities. It's not the end of the world, though. I can continue making some armies here. It's probably a good idea to have a garrison here, just because this is the city that's closest to Red's border. They can just hop over with a fleet very quickly. If we're not careful, we can easily lose that region. Or if we're not careful, we can easily come into siege. That's the thing that's sort of hardest for me with this game. Is I don't really need the general to do anything, so I'm just not going to. Is figuring out like prophylactic measures to stop attacks in their tracks. Well, like often there's an attack that comes towards you, and you could have figured out what to do about it in advance, even if you didn't know it was coming. Like here, we just think about the structure of our empire, and we're like, look, this is one point of access for our empire. And we can just make sure we patrol it with fleets or keep vision on it, and then we're always ready to crush their invasion or would-be invaders before the invasion actually happens. And we're just going to array ourselves here, close to the lightning. If they walk into the lightning, which they often do, we get free damage off. So we really have to think like, okay, which areas are vulnerable? And that's a skill I'm only slowly picking up. But it's probably a skill that's really important in this difficulty. Without retakes. So our ship's actually not doing that much damage, so I'm pretty happy I decided to bunch up first. I'm also pretty happy that they walked over the lightning like idiots. So that was good. I'm just gonna keep attacking this ship. can move back the ship they're focusing. There's other things that are good prophylactically, like roads are really good for this. As long as you have units in your empire, and then which can use the road system, those units are going to get a huge movement speed bonus on the roads. So roads are a way that you can make sure that your army is always close enough to your cities, because they can always move closer to your cities in case of invasion. Because again, you need to defend yourself with armies in this game, which is really a disadvantage to the player, because you can't afford to really keep your armies garrisoning your cities. You have to produce way too many armies. So the AI basically gets an advantage there, because they can afford to leave garrisons on cities. You can't really, so you know, you're always more vulnerable to invasions than they are by default. Alright, and we managed to recapture this fortress, I think. Unless this little ship pulls something out of the bag. Nope. So we quickly dispatched of that. Now we have both of the sea regions we needed. And that means that I think we should be able to complete this quest soon. The reason I'm forming up here is because I want to capture green sea regions while the black spot is still active, and also keeping a fleet patrolling here is again important. Just like building these extra random units. Once you've built up the garrison, we might as well go back to rural universities. Rural universities aren't that important. We don't have to get them. Oh, Moonleaf, I should have popped Moonleaf. Moonleaf is hugely important for us here. It's a 50% boost of science on our cities. Well, I don't know if it's hugely important, but it is quite important. And yeah, see, it helps get the industrial facilities a lot faster. Where a lot is like a couple of turns probably. Okay, we can move this fleet in position. And I think we can just capture this fortress, and then that should be that. Yep. So I think we've captured both of the relevant fortresses. We can continue sending this fleet on adventures. As long as we can use these fleets to hold this area. We're just going to auto. These armies aren't dangerous, because they're basically land armies on sea. So the sea region really lets us do... Again, this is a fortunate map for us. There's a lot of maps where like the Morgwar have no chance, basically. This kind of map where you're separated by the ocean is really great for an economic playstyle, and it's especially great for the Morgawr. A, because we need, say, sea trade routes, and B, because we don't have land armies, so any barrier that naturally prevents us from being attacked early on in the game will give us more time to deal with the fact that we don't have natural ground armies to defend us. Building up ground armies via okay, we have to get 2,000 dust at the season change, which should be trivially easy. Yeah, that should be easy. And then we get no more ties, which means bonus movement speed on ground, bonus battle movement on ground, and bonus food and industry on ground tiles, because we've cut ties with the physical enhancements, or we've cut ties with the whatever power the Enders created that binds us to the water. Yeah. Okay, and then we can just, you know, continue evolving, whatever. This faction is really cool, flavor-wise. Anyway, so like, at the start of the game, you rely on manufacturing units for your ground armies. That means at the start of the game, you have to find manufacturing armies that are... Not all manufacturing units are created equal. Not all of them are created evil either. You have to find good ones to be able to build up your economy, etc. The problem is... Or build up your armies, I should say. The problem is there that all that takes time. It means we're vulnerable for a period of time where it's possible for another faction to just waltz into our territory and crush us. Okay, I'm just going to keep this fleet here so we can defend our sea region. I'm going to move this fleet here, attack this. Just want to claim this area back. They have 2 artillery ships, okay. Should be okay. Annoyingly, there's lightning in the way, so we can't really keep our units together. Let's just continue to attack there. Consider moving forward with this. Nah, the ship is quite weak. Let's just keep it back here. Let's just actually not make it move at all. So yeah, this. I mean, maybe I should give him another game where I just get crushed off the board early on. Just to have a balanced experience. I have a feeling like on a couple of our next Endless Legend playthrough, we'll definitely face tougher challenges like that. Okay, I'm going to continue firing on this ship. Before that, I might want to array the ships so that I'm getting more morale. Morale is really important because it raises attack and defense. And attack and defense are basically great. And the ship can... yeah, I don't know. Attack and defense basically affect a chance to be hit and chance to hit. So that's sometimes even more important than damage and life. Okay, going that close to the enemy was definitely a mistake, or whatever. Okay, that ship sunk. That means their damage output is lessened. And hopefully that means we're not going to lose any ships here. But, you know, things happen. Okay, we can just bounce here. And now we're all shooting on one ship, so... The big problem with AI doesn't understand that focus firing is good. Because basically by shooting down one unit, you limit the amount of damage they're going to do to you to the future. So focus firing is really important. And it's something that also advantages ranged armies, because ranged armies have an easier time focusing on individual units. Ground armies either need to face them head on or wrap around, and neither of these makes it possible for all your units to attack one target. Just another reason why pure ranged armies are some of the best compositions in this game. I want to say you don't have to make a pure ranged army to get well, I don't know if an yeah, if you want to get an optimal composition. There are other ways to do things, like I like with the Kapaku or the Alai, I like to go for wraparound armies with lots of cavalry units. And those can also be good. I'm just going to bully the units here. Randomly getting extra experience is helpful here, especially since this hero is relatively new as an admiral. But we don't have to do too much on any of our turns here. I'm just going to bounce this fleet around here. Once I capture this region, I'm probably going to negotiate a truce of red. I don't have to fight other empires to win, I don't think. Unless, of course, red gets the next scientific step before we do, in which case it might be a race to complete that scientific victory. Although it looks like we might get the economic victory faster than that. So if the economic victory... So if we're 42% there for the economic victory, that it counts all the dust you've generated throughout the entire game. So that means we're actually closer to 40% winning, because our dust generation is higher now than it has ever been. So in terms of the curve, we're actually not... We're closer to getting there than 40%, basically. It's the same with scientific victory, sort of. Once you get this, you're like closer to getting there than 20%, because this improves the rest of your science production, meaning that you'll get the other ones faster. So now I want to think about the truce with red. They're not interested in the truce. We can... I mean... This is important. We can just give them random stuff. Probably not stuff that improves their science. Unskilled labor, I don't think they'll use this properly. Yeah. I'm just getting a truce for convenience sake. Speaking of things that are inconvenient, I was gonna auto that battle, but I somehow suspect that I can't trust the AI there. I mean, it's aforementioned lack of ability to focus fire aside. Now here we can just make sure that we have at least one Vor attacking each unit, and that just basically means that none of the ships will ever get to fire at anything meaningful. All of the ships will bound off our force fields for all of their attacks. So basically what you want for this army is just firstly put force fields on all of your units, and then try and have high initiative if at all possible. That means high tier as usual, high tier weapons are crucially important. More important than numbers, strategy, tactics, etc. It's the unfortunate fact about this game. It's really bad for endless difficulty as well because of how snowball it is. It means that if you're ahead on economy and science, you'll have an easier time producing more armies and easier time producing armies that are of higher tech trees or higher tech tiers. And higher tech tier armies will just decimate lower tech tier armies. So there's less catch-up mechanics in this game, which is especially bad because of how egregiously more... so the way that the game is hard on these difficulties is that the AI gets more resources than you do, which is obviously bad if... it kind of ends up being like a sort of resource war or something. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically like you have less stuff than they do, just by virtue of them being the AI. So it's kind of like you're playing with someone who has just the odds stacked in their favor, and then obviously you need to outsmart them. Oh, they had an army there. Okay, this is definitely good that we forced the truce because we would have been caught unawares here. Even though we have probably enough units that we could have held them. Yeah, there's no way of knowing how advanced these army units are. If they were like Typerium units, might have just lost the game there. Well, not the game, but lost the city. I mean, that type of ball. I would have been fine. I would have been able to produce units contain the damage we capture the city. I just would have been pain. So now we have 3 fleets to patrol our regions. What? I haven't met these people at this stage in the game? Wow. Partly the reason why I'm playing this so smoothly is because I've had a lot of practice, because this session has been difficult to record for various reasons. Mostly just like, I tried recording and failed. Anyway, computer crashed a couple of times. So we're picking up the Dust River Industrially soon. Now, maybe I should make a video on this. Like the fact that the Endless AI cheats in this game, more so than Endless Space, distorts the kind of strategy you can use. It means that you have to worry a lot about your safety, in particular because the diplomacy system is also... The diplomacy system, unlike in Endless Space 2, doesn't give you any natural protection against the war. And also in Endless Space 2, it's possible to actually outproduce the enemy in war, which is not possible in this game. Like in Endless Space 2, you can produce more ships than the AI at a certain point because of the way the game is balanced on Endless. Not possible to do that in... I don't know what's giving them such high points. They're probably just misevaluating how powerful the shield is. Oh, they're attacking a fortress. Oh. Still... Okay. Wait. Okay. Never mind. So we're going to move this ship here and we're going to bounce the wall back. Yeah. I mean, in Endless Space 2, the big reason why it's possible to play a peaceful faction without having to think about war, like we did on Fallen playthrough, is that all peaceful factions have the ability to force peace available to them in some way or other. And wait, did they just negate or I'm confused. Never mind. Yeah, she was still active. But in Endless Legend, only the Draken have the ability to force peace, meaning that only the Draken can just not worry about building army units. Like any other faction, you're just worried about being destroyed. And the Draken, you're like, oh yeah, pay influence. So that makes factions like the Morgwar very fragile, because during the critical early turns, you just don't have enough. You don't have enough armies naturally. You wouldn't strong enough armies to reliably be able to defend your territories. Okay, this is tedious. I'm not sure why everyone is trying to capture my fortress. The princess is another fortress. Come on, back off. Alright. Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly just talking about the game balance at this point because the decisions aren't that impactful. We're just trying to close out the game. grab a couple of sea reaches for fun. But yeah, I might make a video about this basically because I find like it's really discouraging when I first started playing Endless Legend on Endless difficulty. I was like, I felt so dispirited by the fact that I would just get crushed at the board at turn like, I don't know, 60, 50, even turn 40 in a recent game. At least by turn 40 I was facing a stack of units, which is kind of silly, considering how the biggest army I could make at that stage was like maybe four stacks of units. And I didn't even have a good army unit unlocked. Alright, enough about that. We've survived that terrible part of the game, we've put it behind us, and we're just busy picking up the dust-driven distilleries, at which point it should be trivially easy to win the game. Just by building up dust. At that point, I think I just want to shift all of my workers into dust. I mean, look, we're at 47% economic victory. Over the past couple of turns, that number jumped by 7%, so that should tell you how quickly we're in a position to very quickly close out the game. Okay, they've nullified the black spot, so we could attack this. But never mind, I'm not really interested in crusading around trying to get random fortresses. I mean, I was a turn ago, but not anymore. I'm a new person. New goals and new ideals. Complete change of heart happened like within a full turn cycle. Now, I just want to make sure I have army units at necessary locations, just in case of anything happening. But really, this is one of the sort of victory kind I like, where we basically didn't have to do that much in terms of invasion. We just were able to sit back. I mean, we had to grovel this one time for our life, but we were able to sit back and sort of do our own game plan. Which is nice. It's nice that games give the options for that, because it's really annoying or tedious or frustrating if you're forced into playing militarily every single time. Especially given that military often feels like it bogs down the game for me. Oh, we're just generating insane amounts of dust. Look at how much we have stockpiled there. Okay, we have that building. We got that research, and it turns out that no other faction is that close to winning the game. Now let's check the win screen. We're on 54% for economic victory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift all my workers, maybe except for the science capital, maybe even the science capital. I'm going to shift all my workers to building extra dust production, and then we're going to try and win with dust. Mostly I've already won with science and the Kapakra thing, so I'm going to try and win in a different fashion here. We can spend our dust on random stuff, we don't have to. Yeah. So you click on the top left corner to select everything at once. Now the most important thing is that this grass silk is always active, and dust water is always active, and ideally we could get dust orchid, but it looks like there's not enough on the market, so enough enough on the market. And we're just going to click through the next couple of turns and see how quickly we can get a dust victory at this stage. Also, dust victory is kind of more pleasant than stupid science victory. Because they have to activate the stupid stockpiles, and stupid stockpiles are stupid. They require so many clicks to activate. They always ask you, are you sure you want to activate the stockpile? I wish you could somehow turn that off. Maybe you can. Let me know in the comments. You would be my hero. It doesn't actually matter too much, I think, what we do for random fleets at this stage of the game. As you can see, we're at 59 already, so a 5% closer to the dust victory each turn. Oh, I kicked something on the table. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna hoard obscene amounts of dusk. The dusk victory. If only it was like a vampire faction, that would be pretty appropriate for that. I'm sure. Okay, there definitely are vampire factions, right? Like the Broken Lords, the Vodiani, and this Space Tube with their own spins on them. But there's no real creatures of the Dark faction. I just haven't gotten up close enough. The important things you have to talk about while the game slowly winds down. As you can see, the Dust Victory is coming along really nicely. We're at 64% now. That's basically how Dust Victory works. You like the victory screen will not tell you how quickly it's going. I don't think I care. The victory screen actually doesn't really tell you how soon the Dust Victory is going to happen, because like we jumped from like 40-ish to 70 in like 10 turns. So really, because it counts the total number of dust you've generated in your cities, or dust you've generated across the game. I should probably get some of these hero skills. Some of them might help us win faster. Oh, they might not, you know. Actually, these heroes, they're really great on trade routes. I highly recommend using Roving Clans heroes. That's one cool thing about this game. The heroes are basically tied to certain ways of... Look, the heroes for individual factions are... No, some of them are good, some of them are bad. But often they have traits that sort of exemplify the playing style of that faction. But you don't have to be that faction to use those skills or use that playing style. Like this hero. I said that skill was bad, but whatever. It is bad, but I just picked it there. I don't care about construction at this point. It doesn't actually matter to winning the game. See, we're really quickly closing on 100%. That's kind of how it goes with this victory type. So, like I was saying, the Wild Walker's faction hero type is very good for industry. But a lot of different factions can benefit from that industry, and also benefit from the forest tiles. Well, the Kapaku heroes are very good on volcano tiles, and obviously the Kapaku themselves prefer to play on volcano tiles, and they create new volcano tiles. But it doesn't mean other factions can't use volcano tiles and pick up those heroes. So that's pretty cool from a gameplay perspective. Different heroes, we're very, very close to winning now. This is basically clicking over through the last couple of turns. So obviously I have to monologue about something in the meantime, because there's not much to say gameplay-wise. Not that this hasn't been a fun game, or an interesting game. This is basically the get rich in 160 turns episode. And I think we should win next turn. Or the turn after that. As usual, I let my empire fall to pieces as I pursue my victory condition. I mean, yeah, it's not good, you know, but you know, you're not gonna win it anyway. There's another sea monster? I thought we killed this already. Okay. Cool. So that was my playthrough of the Morgawr. Here you can see us in our beautiful tentacular glory. The Morgawr being, of course, the one-mind telepathic sea faction. Now, the big thing with the Morgawr that we had to worry about is early aggression by other faction. And we were fortunate we spawned on a map with islands. And what islands really help you do is avoid confrontation early in the game. It's just unfortunately how the game is on endless difficulty. Enemy AIs are extremely aggressive if you share borders with them or close to them. Even without the border, like Red tried to cross the sea and kill us, we had to compromise by begging for our lives. And basically, that means that if you land on a map where the enemy or any AI is far away, you're going to be fine and you can just do your own thing. And if you land on the map where you're clumped up, then you really have to be wary of very quick invasion, timing attacks. anywhere from turn 30 to turn 50 to turn 60. Sometimes it depends on how fast the start they get and how aggressive their faction is and how good their faction is. But the Endless AI will very quickly have 6 stacks of units ready to pressure you in. So in this game we avoided that by fortune, and then that's good because we got to show off what was really strong and interesting about this faction, the sea naval playthrough. I really do think this game could use a bit of a rebalance. Like, I would like to see this mastermind unit being a solid combat unit on its own, so you wouldn't have to worry too much about having no decent ground defense, because the problem with support units is that they're made of paper. Like, on their own, they're not very powerful, and often support units are just garbage units on their own. That's my big issue with the mastermind. And even with other units, their buffs are typically not worth a unit. Like, you get more value out of having another unit shooting arrows or holding that gumming down the ground or something. So the buffs are underwhelming and they're not powerful enough on their own. So I kind of feel like I want this faction to have better ground defenses early in the game. Or maybe they should just change the way the defense system works. Because the way militia works and fortifications works, if you have a much smaller army, they can just overwhelm your fortifications and your militia. So you really do need a good army in addition to the fortifications to defend yourself. Which again favors the AI, it doesn't favor you because you have a much harder time building up armies. You can't afford to garrison armies until much later. Garrison armies in cities until much later in the game. So the way endless difficulty works means that Morgawr are extremely fragile. And we only really did well in this game because we could avoid that early game fragility because of unfortunate map spawn. I feel like it's too easy to get crushed with the Morgawr to reliably win an endless. But once you get past that dodgy stage, they're really fun and really awesome. And I really recommend you play the Morgawr. Maybe not necessarily on endless immediately, but just play them on any difficulty and just explore the sea and enjoy the Fomorians based content, like the fortresses and the sea travel and sea trade, etc. Just the fortresses themselves are really fun, I think, and I really enjoyed this expansion when I first got it, just because I enjoyed playing on the sea. It's pretty different feeling from the rest of the game, actually. And it adds a lot to the rest of the game as well if you have other game where you want to build fleets and stuff. Though obviously the Morgawr are best suited for that. So thanks for joining me on this playthrough with the Morgawr on Monsters from the Deep. And with the sea monsters, we were not only able to slay the sea monster, which has now mysteriously disappeared again, but we also managed to beat the game on endless difficulty. So just showing you it can be done with this faction. You're just very fragile at the start, and it's a bit luck dependent that you get something like this, as opposed to landing on the ground and then having to fend off other endless factions without any standing armies because you couldn't assimilate a minor faction with a good enough combat potential or whatever, or couldn't get set up soon enough. Or because your starting 2 units, which you have to lean on quite heavily, are terrible in combat. But all that complaining aside, and disclaimers, I really did have fun with this faction. I really do think this faction is enjoyable, and I do think this faction has some powerful aspects to it, as we realized in this game. So thanks again for joining me for this playthrough. I hope you learned something, liked something about this playthrough, my commentary, etc. And if you did, please consider subscribing and liking the video. So I'll see you next time for my next series, which I think will probably be Endless Space again, though I might just hop back into another Endless Legend game. I'm thinking of probably doing United Empire, or maybe the Alai on Endless Legend, maybe the Broken Lords. I'll show you. And also, I'm looking forward to making some shorter content videos, brief explanations of strategies. Also, check out my top 5 sciences for Endless Space 2 video, where I try and explain why I think certain sciences are very important to watch out for and how they can really change the game. So thanks again for joining me. I'll see you soon, and all the best.